Good morning, young minds, as Dr. Green would say every morning at 7 a.m. on the bus. My name is Amanda Griswold. I'm a senior in animal science. This was actually my second departmental spring break trip with Dr. Green. And as always, probably my favorite part is just getting to network with other people in the agricultural industry and learning all the different parts, as well as networking with my fellow students who traveled with us and the faculty like Lawrence and Paul Vining that went with us. So now every time I see everyone that went on the trip with us in the hall that I didn't know before, I always share something special and always have something to talk about with them. And I'm just so grateful for this opportunity that the department has provided for me. So yeah. Catch you later.
I'm Cameron. I'm a freshman at Auburn University this year, and my major is animal sciences. My favorite stop from spring break 2018 was the Perdido River Farms. I really liked that the cows were so sweet, and I liked that it was so close to home for me. Atmore is only 45 minutes from where I live, so it was like a little piece of home on our trip. I liked that the man who ran Perdido River Farms is actually part of the tribe of the Wind Creek clan of Porch Creek Indians, and so that was also a little piece of home for me as well. Lunch at the casino was really good, as usual. I actually go there a lot, so that was another little piece of familiarity among all of the crazy, exciting experiences that I had over spring break.
My name's Addison Gore. I'm a freshman in equine science, and the whole reason I went on this trip was to learn more about the different animal science industries in Texas and throughout the United States to get like an idea of like what I wanted to do after I got out of college. So one of my favorite spots to stop was the Perdido River Cattle Company, which is cool because it's a cattle company based off the Indian reservation there, and they use specific cattle for their needs for beef production and only sell them to specific marketers throughout the country. And what's cool about them is that their cattle, not only do they sell them for meat and whatnot, but they also give some of them back to the community for 4-H shows to get kids involved in the cattle production.
Hi, my name is Christina Horde. I am a junior in animal sciences on the pre-professional track. My main goal for this Texas trip was to find a hopefully future employer, and in ST Genetics on day one, I found that. ST Genetics is a company in Navasota, Texas. Their main focus is to sort semen and to be able to sex the semen. The ways they do that is first they dye it, and the women in the female semen actually holds the dye better because female semen has 40% more DNA in it. Then the semen is sorted by dead cells and live cells. And then lastly, it is sorted by hitting a laser. That laser then magnifies it, makes it a positive charge or a negative charge, and your female goes one direction, your male goes another direction. They also have a bull testing facility in the back that allows producers to bring in any set of animals, whether they're bulls or cows or heifers, and to basically test any kind of feed efficiency problem you may have to decide how they want to, continue their life on their farm. And that is all done with a grow safe technology and the EID tags in their ears.
So my name is Melissa Villanueva. I'm an animal science muscle foods major. I'm a senior, and during the trip to Texas, we went to ST Genetics and also AgriLife. And at ST Genetics, the one thing I learned was that they used all male or bulls to gather genes or samples from, and that was something I did not know happened. So it was all male bull. bullpens. That was interesting.
Hey y'all, my name is Savannah Locke. I'm a senior studying in agriculture education here at Auburn. And I'm going to talk to you about the animal handling clinic we did by Ron Gill. It was a really good thing to learn, such as we learned how to control the cattle using their point of their shoulder. And we had to learn about flight zones and basically what movements we had to make in order to help move the cattle. It was a really good experience because I found it very intriguing because it also relates to my new current job at the beef unit. Such as you have to, respect the cow, respect their point of interest, and make sure they have enough space to get through.
Hi, my name is Emily Bornstein. I'm a junior in ag education, and today I'm going to talk to you about our time at the Texas A&M Butler Animal Science Research and Education Complex. We had a talk from Mr. Todd Hubner, and he's a sales rep for the company Boehringer Ingelheimer, more specifically for the cattle side of things. The company actually works with animal health products for large animals, small animals, any type of animals really. And this speech really stuck out to me because he was also an ag education major, and after about, I think he said a month or a couple months of teaching high school ag, he decided that that wasn't the path for him. So it made me realize that in case teaching doesn't work out for me, there's other paths out there. And also another thing that I took away from the talk was that no matter what, you're always going to be marketing yourself, whether it's putting it on your resume or going for a job interview. That's a really important skill to have no matter what. He also sponsored our dinner at the Dixie Chicken, and that was really fun. I had my first chicken fried steak. It was really good. I learned that you have to have gravy with it too. And it was really cool to experience the atmosphere of Texas A&M. We got a tour from Dr. Green.
Hey, my name is Levi Knowles, and I found Feener & Sons feed store and feed mill to be the most interesting. Coming from a background working for Alabama Farmers Co-op for the past 2 years, I thought it was neat to see how the different technology and the different feed rations they had out in Texas was just so much different from ours. The technology was so much more advanced, as here we bag feed by hand, and so at my co-op, if I'm by myself, it takes anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes to bag a ton of corn, but out there they could do 21 tons in an hour with the robot and the feed grains and bins that they had set up. Also, the feed rations were so much different than what we have here. Here, our range cubes, we feed a 16% protein pellet, but out there they had anywhere from 40 to 60% protein, so it was just the amount of protein the cows and livestock need to sustain themselves, and that climate's just so much different than what we have here, and I just found it all really interesting coming from a feed store standpoint.
So my name is Kyle Phillips, and I'm a senior in agricultural science with a minor in ag business, and I want to say that Texas was everything I thought it would be and then some. The things that stuck out to me the most were probably the feed store, just because I've never been around any kind of feed production. The only place that really had a feed production place was Clayton, Alabama, which was Sanders Feed, I believe it was, and it closed down when I was like a little widgie monk. But I enjoyed that a lot, and I enjoyed getting to know a lot of people on the trip.
Hey, my name is Bryce Abbott, but everyone called me Australia on the trip, and I'm going to be talking about my experiences with a Feener & Sons feed store. I don't come from an agriculture background, so it's kind of neat to see everything, but I liked Feener's a lot because it kind of reminded me of my grandfather's old work. He worked at a paper mill, and so they had a lot of big machines just like that there as well. And I like to just go through and see like the more industry side, I guess you could say, of agriculture. Another cool aspect I saw was like the modernization of it. They had one of those robotic arms that could do the job of packing everything. And I know like everything in there is so old and dusty, but that thing was just like brand new, shiny, well kept. So it's a lot of money going into that place. And I just thought it was really cool to see all that.
Hi, my name is Josh Graham and I'm a freshman here at Auburn University. I'm here to talk about Graham Land and Cattle Company. They are located in between Austin and San Antonio, Texas. Their feed yard can hold approximately 30,000 head capacity. They do run with their own feed mill. Their main 3 ingredients for their feed mill consisted of rice bran, cottonseed hulls, and steamed flaked corn. All their pen riders were trained with horseback to ride through the pens, and they were trained also with low stress cattle handling. The breeds of cattle that they ran ranged from everything from Brahman to Angus cattle, even to Wagyu cattle.
My name is Cole Cranford and I'm from Arab, Alabama. I'm a transferred junior here at Auburn University and I plan to be graduating in December of 19. I was privileged to go on the Texas trip with Dr. Green and, 48 of my closest friends. My favorite stop was in Gonzales, Texas at Graham Land Cattle Company. We were able to go out and tour their facilities in which they have a 30,000 head capacity on their feed yard. They have their own feed mill on site and they have their own pen riders who ride 365 days a year. Even during Hurricane Harvey, they're out there riding and taking care of those cattle. It was very interesting seeing how they doctor cattle in that area and how they take care of the cattle that everybody else sends into them. We were very fortunate to be provided lunch at Graham Land Cattle Company, and we were able to sit down with many of the workers, including pen riders, feed mill operators, and the general acting manager. And that was very, very interesting that they were able to sit down and talk with us, and we were able to have a good time.
Hi, I'm Ivy Graves. I am a freshman and I am majoring in animal science with a pre-vet track. And my favorite stops on the spring break trip were probably the Chisholm Trail Vet Clinic and the Texas Vet Lab. The vet clinic was really awesome because we talked to Dr. Sullivan and his wife, who's also a veterinarian, and we got not only a tour of the practical vet lab or the vet clinic, we also learned about the day-to-day life as a veterinarian and how connecting with the community is very important, and how social of a job it is, and wanting to be a veterinarian, that's very helpful for me. And
Brooke, I'm a junior in Ag Ed. One of the places we stopped at was the Chisholm Trail Vet Clinic, which has 4 locations throughout Texas. We chose to stop at the one in Gonzales to see an Auburn graduate, Dr. Patrick Sullivan. Dr. Sullivan serves as a small and large animal vet and also does farm calls for people unable to transport their animals. The vet clinic offers grooming and boarding as well as a 24-hour emergency service.
I'm Darby Dubose. I'm a junior in animal science pre-vet. This past spring break we went to Texas. One of our stops was at Gonzales, Texas, and we went to the Chisholm Trail Vet Clinic where we met Dr. Patrick Sullivan and his wife Jasmine Sullivan. They do a mixed practice of large and small animals. They do surgeries, they dispense vaccines, and they also work with deer, which I thought was really neat.
My name's Natalie Johnson. I'm a senior in Animal Sciences Production Management with a minor in agribusiness. My favorite stop along our spring break trip was the Texas Beef Council. We learned a lot about grilling and we learned a lot about their state checkoff as well as the national checkoff. We met with Russell Woodward and Robert Hale. The National Beef Checkoff Program was established as part of the 1985 Farm Bill, and the checkoff takes about $1 a head of domesticated cattle for the national checkoff and $1 for the state checkoff.
My name is Erin Turner and I'm a senior in Animal Sciences Production Management, and my favorite stop on the spring break trip was the Texas Beef Council. It was really fun. After we talked about the beef checkoff program with the guys, we went out on the back patio and they had a lot of grills for us set up and a lot of flat iron steaks for us to cook. So they also had us some aprons, thermometers, and cutting boards for us to use while we were there and to take home with us, so that was really nice. We started out learning about how to lay charcoal properly so we could have an even heat distribution on the grills. And a neat tip they taught us was once we had the charcoal laid out and the grills lit, we were supposedly, if you put your hand right above the grill, about 4 inches high, and you could hold it there for 4 seconds, then your grill was about 400 degrees, and that's where we wanted to, the temperature where we wanted to cook our steaks. So we split into groups, and we laid out our charcoal and lit our grills. Then we grouped back together and learned about seasoning our steaks and which cuts of meat are best to grill. So before our trip, I really didn't know much about grilling or really like it that much, but it was really nice to have that stop planned in our trip because it was just something different, and not only did we learn how to cook the perfect steak, we also learned a lot from the guys at the Texas Beef Council, and it was a great opportunity to engage.
My name's Natalie Boniuto. I'm a freshman. My major is animal science pre-vet. So I went on the spring break trip with Dr. Green and a bunch of animal science students, and one of the places we went was Chico's lamb and goat livestock, and I thought it was really interesting and really educational because I'm from Connecticut, so I went to a high school where I worked with sheep, and we had like a small farm, so being able to see a big livestock where they have thousands of heads of sheep, it was really interesting getting to see that different side of the agricultural aspect, because you normally only see one side of the business and you think that's the only side of the business, but it was cool being able to see both sides.
My name is Madison Boone, and I'm an animal sciences pre-vet. We got to stop at the Chico Dennis feedlot and ranch there in Texas, and it is the largest lamb feedlot in the country. It holds about 40,000 head capacity, and while we were there we got to go see about ranch management. We were out there. We had the Texas AgriLife and the Natural Conservation Resource Services meet us out there, and we discussed burning off the rangeland in order to get rid of invasive species such as the prickly pears, mesquite, and juniper trees in order to make it more beneficial for the livestock to graze on that land for the future.
Reed at Texas AgriLife Center introduced us to their upcoming herd of sheepdogs, and not only do we get to play with puppies, he actually let us see and how they interact with the puppies. At first they let the 6 to 8 week old puppies be with very, very, very young lambs. The lambs were adorable, and then he showed us how as the puppies get older, they also get to be with older lambs, and not only do they learn that, hey, the lambs are my friend, I need to protect these lambs, and they end up, the older the dogs get, the dogs understand and realize that, hey, these are my responsibility, and I'm their protector. I'm here for them, and they're here for me as companionship, as dogs need and love. We also got to see a sheep get sheared, which I've never seen before, for the first time, and I must say it's not something that I believe I'd be very good at, but Dr. Reed said that he had a lot of practice and he made it look really easy and really awesome.
And at the AgriLife, the one thing that stuck with me that I remember is the use of mesquite for feed. I felt that was really interesting and could be really resourceful and hopefully save money in the future.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Lafredo, and I'm a senior in Ag Econ. My favorite part about our Texas trip was the dinner with Fiddle Fire. Miss Dorothy made us chicken fried steak and cinnamon buns, and they were so delicious. She made them in the classic Old West way with an open flame and a Dutch oven. And she also told us all about her life and how she bought her wagon in 2003, and before that she was a music teacher at St. Angelo State. And St. Angelo is where she's based out of, but she goes all over Texas to provide dinner for all different kinds of people and entertain them. She still plays the fiddle, and she played a few songs for us, and it was just really fun and a great experience.
I'm Olivia Watts. I'm a senior in Ag Communications, and while we were eating at the Fiddle Fire Chuck Wagon, Brian May was talking to us about what all he has done in his life, and he is the president of the San Angelo State University, and he used to be in the fashion industry with mohair wool, which is from goats, and he was with that at the fashion industry over in Europe. But it was really interesting to know what all he has done and where he's gotten to today. And he also helped pay for our meal, which was super nice. And he was a really inspiration to all of us and hopes to being a good leader one day, just like that.
I'm Tamisa Shedd. I am a senior in Agronomy and Soils Production Track. We met on day 5 of our spring break trip. We went to the Visitor Center Bureau in San Angelo, Texas, where we met Mr. Bruce Partain, and he ended up talking to us about the history of San Angelo. And the center was along the Chancho River, which I thought was very pretty in the morning.
My name is Jessica Langford, and I'm a junior in Animal Science Production Management. Today I'm going to talk about the San Angelo Convention and Visitors Bureau. On Thursday morning of our spring break trip, that was our first stop. Mr. Bruce Partain welcomed us and gave us a brief history of the city of San Angelo. And he said how in 1867 the Fort Concho was established for people moving west from the Civil War, to kind of protect the people from the Indians and stuff, and it was also the home of the famous Buffalo Soldiers, which was a black cavalry unit. In 1889, the fort was abandoned and the small city of Santa Angelo was renamed to San Angelo and continued growing. Today, San Angelo is a booming city with over 100,000 people, and also if you travel through the city today, you will see several statues of sheep all around at different businesses in the city, and it's to remind the people of the history of how important sheep were to the economy of the city when it was growing. San Angelo is also the inland wool capital of the world, and also the largest producers auction of sheep in the nation.
The Texas Vet Lab was really cool because we learned about vaccines and how they're made and how they're distributed in the agricultural world, and that was just a really cool look on it. And the whole spring break trip was cool for me because this is an introduction into the agricultural world, which I haven't been introduced to before, so it's pretty awesome.
My name is Joshua Box. I went on the spring break trip this year with Dr. Green and our great group of students. We had an excellent time, and one of my favorite stops that we made was at the Producers Livestock Auction in San Angelo, Texas. Very informative part of the trip because it was extremely different from lots of the stockyards here we have in Alabama. The one that I personally use for my own cattle is in northwest Alabama at Natural Bridge. It used to be a lot bigger, but over the years it's gotten down to where just not that many people run cattle through it anymore, as they're moving on to Russellville and the other larger areas. The Producers Livestock Auction is kind of unique from what I've experienced in that they run both sheep and goats on Tuesdays, cattle on Thursdays. They are open 24/7 to receive and load livestock, and while we were there we got to experience the difference between selling livestock here and out there.
Hi, my name is Jensen Burt, and I am a senior in agricultural sciences here at Auburn University. My favorite stop on Dr. Green's spring break trip to Texas was the stop at Sierra Dairy in Dublin, Texas. The reason why it was my favorite stop was because I had previous experience working at a dairy here in Alabama, and Some things I learned about Sierra Dairy was the fact that they were started in 1999 with 400 head of dairy cattle. It has quickly grown into 6 locations with a total of 12,000 head.
My name's Clay Tucker and I'm a freshman in agriculture, business, and economics at Auburn University. One of the more interesting stops I had on the trip was at Sierra Dairy. I thought Sierra Dairy was interesting because the owner was one of the few dairies who incorporated having crossbred dairy cattle. The reason he did this was because he could save $300 a head when he first got in the dairy business by purchasing crossbreds over purebreds. And he soon realized that they were more efficient and he made more money off having crossbred cattle.
Hey, my name's Logan Chappell and I'm a senior in Ag Econ. One of the things that I really appreciated about the trip to Texas was Sierra Dairy. From an Ag Econ perspective, he had some really interesting things going on, and in fact the owner was an Ag Econ student himself. The main thing that interested me was the manure and water separation system, where the water was used to irrigate crops that he was growing for feed, and the manure was in turn used to fertilize those crops. He also had a sand mining operation where he mined the sand from a piece of land and used it to put in the beds for his dairy cows. In turn, the land was used to grow crops for feed after all the sand was mined out of it. So he was really doing a great job optimizing his farm from an Ag Econ perspective.
My name is Thomas Reeves. I'm a senior in animal science production management here at Auburn. Today I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about our trip to Texas. Overall, I had a great time. I saw things I never would have got seen if I hadn't have went on this trip. Parts of agriculture that you just don't get to see in the Southeast. So that was an awesome experience. I want to talk about the Superior Livestock Auction. It was one of my favorite stops just because I had been watching Superior on RFD TV since I was a little kid. Superior is one of the largest livestock auction marketing companies in the world. They sell over 2 million head of cattle every year, and they have over 380 representatives across the U.S. So they have a large network, very professional. They're televised on TV, just the biggest livestock auction marketer in the world. So they're a pretty big deal. I want to thank Dr. Green for the opportunity. It was one of the best trips I'd ever had, so thank you.
I'm Brett Bailey. I'm a senior in Muscle Foods. I took the spring break trip with Dr. Green. My stop of choice was the Superior Livestock Auction. I thought that it provided us with a very large-scale view on how auctions are done nowadays. Media involvement, using video instead of actual moving the cattle, safer handling, less stress on them. Also that they required a 50,000 pound lot limit. That was the minimum. They had to be same sex, quality, and size. Puts a bit of a strain on a small producer that might be available here in Alabama, but things are always bigger in Texas.
I'm Justin Jondro, senior for registration purposes in animal science, muscle foods. I went on the spring break trip with Dr. Green, and I'm here to talk to you about the TCU Ranch Management program. We talked with Dr. Chris Farley, who informed us on everything with it. They cover everything from forages to animal breeding to animal welfare to burning to predator management. They cover everything there was to know about managing your ranch and getting the most out of everything there. And it seemed like a really cool program and something that would be really nice to see more of around here with a lot of the classes that they had to offer. It was really cool to hear those guys talk about it.
I'm Kayla and I'm a junior in production management, and we went to the University of TCU and did a little in-depth research on their TCU Ranch Management program. And I found it was really interesting because it's a 9-month commitment and that's all you can do for the 9 months. Attendance is mandatory and they cover everything from breeding
to forages such as grasses and that kind of thing, and it's a very, very intense program, and you basically can't have a life for the 9 months that you do it, but they really, really teach you how to manage a ranch, and if you've never come from that, they accommodate you, or if you're just trying to get some more knowledge, they really help you, but it is super intense, and if you're not completely dedicated, you're not going to make it, because they cover so much. It's basically kind of like a 4-year degree in 9 months.
Hi, I'm Sydney Bassett. I'm a freshman in equine science, so it should be no surprise that my favorite part of this trip was getting to visit the Crown Cutting Ranch and meeting Mr. Bouchaw and his family. It was such an amazing experience because he let us actually ride his horses. This national cutting horse champion let us ride his own horses, and he actually gave us some tips too. So he let me ride and cut out some of the actual cattle, but then he had this machine that was up against the wall so he could make it as challenging as he wanted it to be for us, and it was really neat to get him to actually give us some pointers and tips on that. Also though, it was neat to just get to meet and network with people. The whole trip, Dr. Green was telling us it's so important to network. So I didn't realize how much of an experience that would be, but this weekend I actually ended up meeting someone at one of the churches I visited, and they have experience in a cutting horse ranch, so I'm actually gonna go have lunch with them someday. So it was just really neat to make connections like that.
My name is Rachel Hollingsworth. I'm a sophomore in animal sciences, and my favorite part of the trip was the Crown Ranch cutting horses. Friday afternoon we went and spoke with Mr. Chad Bouchaw about his cutting horse operation. The Crown Ranch brand has actually been in his family since 1909 when his ancestors registered the brand for their Angus beef cattle operation. Over the past 25 years, Mr. Bouchaw has built his ranch and is now a very successful breeder, trainer, and competitor in the cutting horse industry. We really got to see just how powerful and athletic his horses were when we watched his sons in the arena working the cattle, and after he taught us the basics of cutting, he let us loose on some of his horses, so that was really interesting. It was a great experience and something I'll treasure for the rest of my life.
My name is Joanna Harwood, and I'm a junior in animal science production and management. This is my second time going on Dr. Green's spring break trip, and man, let me tell you, it was a wild ride both times. So to conclude our week of education, we had a bit of time to relax at the Fort Worth Stockyards in Fort Worth, Texas. And at the turn of the century, in the early 1900s, the Fort Worth Stockyards was actually a big part of the cattle industry, but now it's more like a Western-themed tourist trap, basically. There's plenty of opportunity to eat, shop, and dance. And that's exactly what we did. On Thursday night, we went to Billy Bob's. Basically, what happens at Billy Bob's stays at Billy Bob's, and that's all I'm going to say. Then Friday night, we went to the rodeo. We had complimentary tickets from the hotel that we stayed at, and that was a lot of fun. There was barrel racing, bull riding, and basically all the things you'd expect at a rodeo.
I do want to thank y'all for the opportunities provided to us through this trip. It was educational and enjoyable, to tell you the truth. Hopefully you continue letting Dr. Green do these for years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Green and Miss Evelyn, for everything you did for me and for everybody else on the trip. Hope you have a good summer.
I just want to thank y'all for allowing us to go on this trip, and hope y'all have a good day.